Like every kid of my age, I had one of those dinky little Casios. I don't even know the model. And eventually I graduated to my pride and joy because I begged and begged and begged for a DX7. And eventually on my 16th birthday, I got a DX7 2D. And to this day, it is my pride and joy. Look at that sleek design. 64 presets of impossible programming.
My first synthesizer was a free VST called Synth 1 that I downloaded before I really knew what a synthesizer was. My first proper hardware synthesizer was a Moog Minitar about 10 years ago, and my first modular synthesizer was a Pittsburgh Modular SV1 about 2 years after that. Accumulated a bit more gear since then though.
First synthesizer, the Casio MT68.
The oldest thing in my office is this glass marble. It was a childhood toy of my great-great-great-grandfather who died in 1912. We unfortunately do not know when he was born. So that puts it probably close to 150 years old.
The second oldest piece of gear in my studio is probably this from 1985, Sony Walkman WMD3 tape recorder. I got it while I was at Eastman. The oldest piece of gear is definitely my cello. It's a little over 100 years old.
Jumping down and measuring the exact dimensions of a hole before laying down the coffin. Yeah, that was pretty memorable. My first job was a grave digger.
My first job was in a library. So in high school, I was a page, which meant that I shelved books, and anytime somebody needed something that was stashed away in the basement, the real librarians would ding one of those little bells, and so I developed this Pavlovian response to them dinging a bell and me having to go running up to the front to pick up a request for a magazine or something that was stashed away in the basement and run down there and get it.
My first exposure to electronic music would have been the Monkees. I think it was episode 48 called A Fairy Tale, where Mickey Dolenz plays the Moog synthesizer. The other that I remember was, believe it or not, on the Donnie and Marie show, Donny Osmond plays an ARP 2600 during a medley called Music Through the Ages. He also plays a Moog modular on a performance with drummer Desi Arnaz Jr. And the Osmonds also have some pretty wild synthesizers in a track called Crazy Horses.
The first piece of electronic music I remember hearing was Baroque Hoedown at the Electrical Parade at Disneyland. Something about it really stuck out to me as a child. And I later learned it was recorded on a Moog modular synthesizer.
The cello is also what I enjoy most putting through my modular. I do that all the time. It's pretty fun.
This year I started performing with other artists, and I must say, having a didgeridoo as an external instrument with modular synth, playing it here at the DC War Memorial, yeah, that was awesome.
When people ask about songs being stuck in my head, inevitably that puts Kylie Minogue's Can't Get You Out of My Head in my head.
What song is stuck in my head? Bowsprit by Balmorhea.
Music for 18 Musicians by Steve Reich. But usually the songs in my head don't have a name yet, or I can't remember the name.
The answer is no, never.
Yes, it's something we've thought about a lot. We've discussed it quite a bit over the last year in particular. Wouldn't it be fun?
I know there are a few people who are trying to make this happen. I've seen some videos on Eurorack, which are interesting. And I know the instrument is generative and can play on its own, but ultimately you are the creator and the conductor, as of now. Also, I tried ChatGPT to make interesting song titles, and it's just terrible, terrible.
So already there are modules that use machine learning techniques for example, rhythm generation. AI models could be used for that sort of task. I would be surprised if that hasn't happened yet. But for humans using modular, I don't think it has a lot of application. The draw for modular for many, many people is to get away from the computer, and I don't feel like AI can help that any. It seems like that would just draw you back into the computer.
Good job.
Yep.
We are all absolutely Latin scholars, and you should totally trust our translations to teach you to be fluent in Latin.
Tacere alie.
Synthesizer Tyranida albatross.
Facimulis iteritas.
Pesa malus, iterites. Leah!
You've almost certainly heard of the Bacillus ideritis alter.
Iteritas. 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 Like Italian, Iteritas.